And in the beginning of the press conference, I'm giving the floor to Linde Chigana, Chairperson of the European Affairs Committee of the Saeima. Honorable representatives of media, I have the true pleasure to address you at this day, which is very significant to our Parliament. Today and tomorrow, we have the plenary meeting of COSAC, namely the representatives of the European Affairs Committees of all national parliaments of the EU, as well as representatives of candidate countries and those countries which have expressed the will to take part in this plenary meeting. We have had a lively discussion with Mr. Šefčovič on energy issues, and in the afternoon we will talk on the trade negotiations, namely the EU-US TTIP negotiations, which is very topical at this moment on the EU level. If we look from the perspective of the national parliaments, such a discussion on these negotiations is very essential, because the national parliaments have a significant role in explaining the essence of this partnership to their citizens. Unfortunately, we always face different stereotypes on the way we are conducting these negotiations, how this partnership will reduce the high quality of food we have ensured in the European Union, and that all this will result in increased level of obesity among the children in the European Union, and therefore all these issues should be the ones that we should explain about to our people. And we should meanwhile also talk about the numerous benefits that we will have from this partnership. At this moment, the European Union, together with the US, constitute more than 40% of the global GDP. And after conclusion of such a partnership, we will set the future of the international trade. And at this point, the European Union has a wonderful chance to set the standards on the global level with regards to the food safety, which are now already in force in the European Union. We have had numerous discussions within the Saeima and on numerous other forums where we have ascertained that Latvia's small and medium enterprises will only benefit from the conclusion of such a partnership, and our food standards will not be lowered as a result of this partnership. Thank you very much, Madam Chigana. And now I give the floor to Cecilia Malmström, Commissioner for Trade.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am extremely happy to be here. Just as Mrs. Chigana said, the national parliaments have a very important role to play in EU politics in general, and also very much in trade, and specifically the topic of this afternoon's discussion, TTIP. TTIP is an issue that creates a lot of debate in many countries. That's a good thing. Many people are concerned, many people have worries, many people also support it. Actually, many opinion polls shows that overall, in a majority of countries of the European Union, the citizens are in favor. But there are concerns, there are debates, you mentioned a few of them, and that is why it's so important that the members of the national parliament as well as European Parliament engage with the citizens, listen to the concerns, the worries, explain the importance of this agreement, and engage with them. That's why I'm so happy to be here. I've also visited around 10 national parliaments, and I will continue to do so in order to continue to discuss TTIP. TTIP is a very ambitious endeavor. We will aim to have the biggest free trade area in the world with this, with the two biggest economies of the world, the EU and the US. We already trade since hundreds of years with each other, but we are aiming at deepening this, facilitating, getting rid of different obstacles, tariffs, customs duties, unnecessary bureaucracy, red tape, which make it difficult, especially for small and medium-sized companies, to use the full benefits of our trade relationship. We are also aiming to increase market access on both sides, and we are aiming at collaborating in the regulatory. That means that in a number of areas where we set up standards and regulations for different products to make sure that they are safe for our citizens, we do it basically the same way in the EU and in the US, but still a little bit different. So that means that many companies have to test their products twice, which creates a lot of unnecessary bureaucracy and, of course, costs a lot of money. So we are identifying a number of areas where the standards are equally high, but a little bit different, in order to see if we can recognize each other's standards or testing. And this, and I want to underline what Mr. Chigane said, in absolute no way will this lead to lower standards. We're only looking at areas where there is a grand consensus that the standards are equally high. In engineering, it could be the testing of the safety belt, a little clicking sound, or to make sure that this doesn't inflame when I sit on it or when it's used, or certain ways of inspecting factories, etc. This is the area we are looking at. In other areas where we come from different cultures or traditions, for instance, when it comes to certain food, or looking at GMOs, hormone beef, we are not even discussing it. It's not even on the table. But we are confident that this agreement will lead to increased jobs, investment and trade. We really need this in Europe today. We are still not out of the crisis, and we are also enabling setting standards with our American partners. And if the EU and US, who has the best regulators in the world, can agree on common standards, also for the future, a mechanism to consult each other for future standards in nanotechnology or electric cars or what have you, these can, of course, be global standards. Because if we're not setting them, someone else will. And it is also an opportunity for us to reinforce our partnership with the United States. Even if we have some differences, we basically share a lot of values with them. And we are seeking to confirm those values in the agreement when it comes to sustainable development, our fight for the climate that you discussed just recently, referring to the summit in Paris in December, the eradication of child labor, a useful or a careful way of our common resources, conflict minerals, for instance, issues where we are striving together, and we will seek to reinforce this. We have, since I came into office 6 months ago, reinforced the transparency of these negotiations in order for citizens and national parliamentarians and media to be able to follow this much closer. Basically, all documents from the EU side are online for everybody to consult, and we will continue as we develop common positions from the EU to put them online once we share them with our American partners. We also have background reports and explanatory reports in there in order to facilitate for citizens and parliaments to follow these debates. We're just working towards the 10th round of negotiations in July. And I will tomorrow meet the American counterpart, Ambassador Froman, in Berlin, where we have a common conference, but we will take advantage of this and sit together for a couple of hours and take stock. And we are, of course, working under the joint ambition to finish those negotiations under the Obama administration. It is feasible. Lots of very important technical work has been done. We hope that in the autumn we can now enter into the more political phase of negotiations and hopefully conclude it under the Obama administration. We'll see if that is possible, but that is our joint aim. And as we then go into more political phase of this, of course, the role of the European Parliament, of the Member States, and all the national parliaments will become increasingly important. And I'm sure we can then move from some of the myths of chlorine chicken and GMOs to the more substantial issues and discuss them. And that's why I'm really happy to be here today. So thank you very much for inviting me.